Hi, welcome back to On the Volley, or as we like to be known, OTV. My name's Matt. I'm going to just review a few of the previous weekend's results and the upcoming fixtures for the coming weekend. So I'm going to start right from the top with Brighton against Watford. Obviously, a decent result for Brighton. That Watford had a good result in their opening game. Brighton again, showing they can score goals, which I thought would be their big problem this year. They've scored a couple again, so hats off to them. And they're looking good at the moment. They're looking like they're not going to be down the bottom end of the table, struggling at the end of the season. On results so far, I know it's early on, so but a good start can sometimes give you that platform to build on, or even come the end of the season, help you survive. Then on to City against Norwich. I did watch that game, obviously being a City fan. City got two very lucky goals actually to open up that game. Grealish didn't know much about the one that hit him, but he went in off his knee, I think. An own goal to start with as well. But City were putting themselves in the right position. Norwich did themselves no favours. It's right to say. They were very exposed down the right flank on numerous occasions. Mara's goal, great finish. A very predictable result. I don't think we need to say any more about that game, really. It's everyone expected City to win it, and quite comfortably. Leeds Everton, again, a game I watched the highlights of actually, but from what I saw in the highlights, it looked like a cracker. Leeds twice coming back from behind. Everton looked good. Everton looked like a good team this season. Made some good signings. Marion Gray had a great game. A lot of plaudits for him after this game, and what a signing he's been. Didn't quite get his opportunities at Leicester, didn't quite make it at Leicester for whatever reason, and via Germany has come back and had a cracker. Leeds, fought back well in that game, and it looked like the heads could easily have gone down at 2-1, but they didn't. Fair play to them. Looks like they've still got some fight in them this season. Not quite the results they wanted to start off with, but they'll probably do all right. Let's face it, they'll probably do all right this year. Maybe not, sort of like challenging for Europe, but certainly solidify themselves in the Premier League again. On to Palace and Brentford. Obviously, Brentford a cracking result on the opening night, on the Friday night against Arsenal. A very poor Arsenal team which we'll come on to again, I'm afraid, which Shah's obviously expressed his dismay of what's going on at Arsenal at the moment. But Palace, for them, good, an important one to probably keep a clean sheet in after letting 3 against Chelsea. The game's a 0-0, but there's plenty going on in that game, and Palace will probably just look to build from there now. Brentford are obviously having a great start, 4 points from 2 games. A lot of people's tip to go down, but to be honest, for me, I don't think so. I think they've got too much about them. Villa versus Newcastle. I think I marked this out as saying that it was important for both teams, mainly for Newcastle not to lose it. They obviously have lost it, and Villa to win it. Obviously, losing to Watford on the opening day, they probably, they needed something to solidify them in the campaign this time round, to make sure that last season wasn't just a one-off. Obviously, losing Grealish was a big influence as well this season. Ings got another. He's got 2 in 2 games. Obviously, the first one a penalty. He didn't get the chance to take his second penalty. He's down the pecking order for some reason, but maybe because the guy ahead of him has converted 100% of his chances. Maybe City should have looked to sign one of them two, considering our penalty woes in the past. But yeah, good result for winner. Ings, obviously, his goals are cracker. What I forgot to mention about the Leeds game is another cracking goal for Leeds. Rafinha, belter, an absolute belter, really class finish to go on top of the one they scored against Manchester United as well. They're looking to sort goal of the month within Leeds, until Ings comes along and scores that beauty against Villa. Liverpool Burnley, again a very predictable result. The lighting didn't strike twice. Obviously Burnley ended their run of unbeaten home run at Anfield last season without fans. Bit of a different thing when there's a full Anfield. It's capacity Anfield. That is quite an intimidating environment. And 2-0 to Liverpool. Very standard result. Not a lot to draw from that from Liverpool. They're expected to win. They did win. But some good finishes, and Jota's looking like he started last season. Actually, he started very well last season before he got injured. He's going to be an asset for them, obviously, this year, and probably get more chances as well. On to Arsenal versus Chelsea, and I think this is a more significant result out of the ones previously mentioned. Arsenal at home against Chelsea. Previously, this would have been a well-contended fixture, but as I said last week, it doesn't look for any money that Arsenal were going to be in this game, and that proved to be the point. Chelsea walked it, 2-0, and it's looking pretty grim for Arteta at Arsenal. They've had a good win tonight. We've been doing this after the EFL fixtures. They've won 6-0 against lower league opposition. Let's face it. Is that going to be enough to save Arteta? Probably not. And coming up this weekend is probably not an easy fixture for them. City away. He's definitely on the rocks. After he could be 3 straight defeats in the Premier League, and that would be, Arsenal. The Arsenal board are going to be looking at that surely. Wolves versus Tottenham winning again, 1-0 to the Tottenham. Actually quite a good result for them. That I think Wolves provided some stiff opposition. It was an early goal, an early penalty I think for Dele Alli. They did create other chances in that game. Wolves 2 results they won't be happy with, but they've got a new manager. Once they grow into their pattern of play, we expect to see a bit more from them this season. They've still got some decent players. Southampton drawing with Manchester United, quite a significant. I think I called that as an easy one for Manchester United, due to previous results between these teams. Southampton again, another team that's won handsomely tonight. I think 8-0. So maybe Southampton are offering a bit this season. So not too much to draw on conclusions from that, apart from United can get ahead of themselves sometimes a little bit with one good performance, and then end up. And what killed them last year in terms of challenging for the title was too many draws. They basically drew too many games they should have won. And obviously, 1 point when you should have had 3 is not championship winning potential. The standout result for me for the weekend was West Ham against Leicester. Now I know West Ham were at home, and we've already mentioned that West Ham have done very well in terms of scoring goals. But Leicester, they're no mugs. I know this game has changed by a red card, but even so, West Ham have taken full advantage of that and put 4 past Leicester and won handsomely. They look a decent outfit. They really do, and probably the pick of the rest, if you like. We think that it's probably a pretty solid top 4 at the moment. In times gone by, that was probably expanded out to a top 6. Maybe Tottenham will be there this year as well, so it is a top 5. But outside of that, really, you're looking at West Ham, and they're looking exceptionally good again this year, on a strong performance last year as well. Watch out for West Ham. So going on to next week's fixtures, which I wrote down on the other side, just because I can't remember them all, obviously. Top of that, the first game is Man City Arsenal. As I mentioned previously, this is more important for Arteta. Going back to his previous mentor, essentially in Guardiola, he's had some good results actually against City. It's not off the cards that he could produce something, and obviously his players know that his job's on the line. There is a chance there of a bit of a slip up for City, or a good result for Arsenal. But I think City are starting to play with a bit of swagger, and Arsenal didn't look like they had a lot of mettle against Brentford. So I think an early goal who scores first in that game might change how that game flows. Arsenal obviously, if they get it, it might give them a bit of confidence, and they may cause an upset. But for me, I think it's City. Beating lower league opposition is one thing. Playing at the Etihad's another. Villa versus Brentford. I mean, two teams which Villa had obviously a mixed start, losing one, winning one. Brentford, 4 points. If they get a result there, people are going to start looking at them and sort of taking them, a bit more seriously than saying a relegation fodder. Without a doubt, Villa are no mugs, and a good result for Brentford would definitely put them in the minds of other people. Going to Brighton, Everton. Pretty much actually, because Brighton were one of my tips in a way to struggle a little bit this year. Haven't done. Everton obviously Benitez. This is a good game to show his worth here. Obviously Leeds was another one as well. But these are sort of fixtures, which will sort of determine Everton's season. If they can, they got a result at Leeds in terms of a draw. I mean, that wasn't a bad result last season for most teams. But they should have probably won it, and they had an opportunity to win it. They're playing Brighton, a team that they probably would be fancying to beat this year, but Brighton are playing well and scoring goals, and lost a lot of games by 1 goal last year and drew a lot of games they should have probably won. Let's see how these two teams are figuring out this season. Newcastle versus Southampton, well, it's a must-win for Newcastle. They've got to start winning games. They've got to start getting points on the board. I did tip them for relegation. Unfortunately, Keeper didn't quite like the fact that I did, even though he did as well. Southampton obviously coming back on out of an 8-0. I'm going to probably go with that's going to be a 0-0 draw now, because it's usually the case when you score 8-1, you can't find your scoring boots again. Norwich versus Leicester. I mean, I think Leicester have got to bounce back. Norwich for me are the worst team in the Premier League. Sorry to say that, but to Norwich fans, but I think you are. I think you come back with the same team that got relegated a couple of years ago. Pretty much, a few changes, but not significant enough to challenge at the Premier League level. And I think it's actually nowadays getting tougher. There is a lot more competition. There's a lot more in the middle of the table than there used to be as well. And Leicester, not a prime example of that, because actually Leicester have been challenging at the top in recent years, and they'll want to bounce back from that 4-1 defeat against West Ham. So I'm going to go with Leicester on that one. I'm probably quite comfortably, actually. I think probably about 3-1. West Ham versus Palace. Well, West Ham could have 3 out of 3. What a start that would be for them. And I think they've got a great opportunity against Palace. They haven't scored a goal yet this season, and West Ham are full of goals. Only one result, isn't there? So that's probably not how it's going to work out, is it? But I am going to say West Ham will probably win that. Liverpool versus Chelsea. That is definitely the fixture of the weekend. It's a massive one for both teams to put a stamp on how they're going to do in this year. For Liverpool, it's like it's their first big test, really. Norwich, Burnley. You'd expect them to win that. Chelsea went to Arsenal. Normally that would have been a tough game, yeah, but Chelsea walked it, but they still had to beat Arsenal, and that's a different kettle of fish and at the Emirates as well. So Liverpool haven't had a challenge yet, and this will show us where Liverpool are. I think they're pretty good this year. I think they're going to be really challenging for the title, and I'm actually going to go with a 1-1, which, considering how much I fancy Chelsea for the title, is a good result for Liverpool. Burnley versus Leeds. Leeds could do with probably sneaking one here. 1 point from 2 games isn't really where they want to be. But Burnley also, they know every point counts this season, and they are going to be, I think, fighting down the relegation zone towards the end of the season. So we'll see where they are. They had some chances actually against Liverpool, but they don't create enough clear-cut ones for me to produce the results they need to stay up comfortably. but I think they will stay up. They're a good battling team, and they do tend to just have a way of getting through. Spurs versus Watford. I think I don't see Spurs winning that. Watford were one of my tips to go down again. Apologies to Watford fans for that, but Spurs, looking okay under Espirito Santo. So and also they've still got Kane. So they're gonna be fighting this year. I think Spurs. They're going to be challenging at the top of the table. They languished a little bit last season, but I think they'll do all right this year. And then Wolves versus Manchester United. Manchester United, obviously, disappointing result for them against Southampton. Wolves, League One, really. 2 defeats, 2 narrow defeats, in all fairness. So, can they give United a game? Well, any team in the Premier League can give another team a game. But really, United are the stronger of those 2 teams, and you'd expect them to try and bounce back from dropping points and win this, especially considering what happened last year when they had too many draws. So I'm going to go with a United win on that one, probably 3-1, to be honest. I know I haven't predicted all the results, but I'll submit those in due course to the adjudication authorities of Keith and Shah later on. Okay, so that's pretty much all I've got to say tonight. I've done another cast on financial fair play and some of the transfer rumours. So that's it. Reviewed the games from last weekend. Done the stuff for next weekend. At least from my perspective. Hopefully, Shah and Keith get the chance to do that as well. And from next week, we should be back to normal. So from me, Matt, please don't forget to subscribe. And I'm out.